Welcome back, Mama, and welcome to part 2 of this powerful conversation. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, hit pause and go check it out. It really sets the stage for what we're diving into now. In this half, we're getting even more honest about the mental load, the systems that actually work, and the real stories behind what it means to thrive as a mom. And now, as promised, I've got something just for you. As a thank you for being here and building this village with me, I'm sharing an exclusive offer on the Sami system, the visual planning board I co-created with OneDrive, made for moms by moms. Use code podcast25 at checkout for 25% off your Sami, but only for the first 50 purchases. So if you've been craving more clarity and less chaos, now's the time. Head to OneDrive.com, search the Sami, and don't wait. This offer is limited, going fast. All right, let's get back into it. You're going to love what's ahead.
No, oh my gosh, I think that serves him.
Right.
That absolutely serves him because he will be able to be prepared to rise above in ways that others cannot. And it's if for anybody that's read The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, it's essentially that point. It will give him a leg up, which will continue to give him a leg up, and that just continues until through adulthood and beyond. But that there's a big difference between maturity, which is what you're describing, and the ability to still splash in a mud puddle. Those two things can coexist.
Exactly. No, and I see that so much because he's 6 and my daughter is soon to be 4. And when he plays with her, he can really inherently be the child that I know is still in there, that I don't see on the soccer fields.
Yeah.
He'll play with her Barbie dolls with her, or he'll do something he'll do play with Play-Doh, right? I feel like Play-Doh is such a tool because at least in our house, we have the best conversations when we're Play-Dohing. That's the time that they take the time to play with something and make something. And then what are you making? It's the creativity and it's the everything. I love Play-Doh time for as much as I can't stand Play-Doh because I don't know about you, but when they mix the colors together.
Oh, it kills me. I know. It kills me.
I'm like,
I have 2 boys, and the boys are absolutely reckless with things like that. Do not care.
No, they don't care and they love it. And they're like, what color does this make? But even my daughter, she loves doing it too. And I'm like, I love the concept of the rainbow colors, but when they mix together and they just become that ugly brown.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's no more colors. And now we can't make the ice cream that we wanted to make and we can't do that. My friend is hysterical laughing at me because she knows that that is an actual pain point for me. I will buy all of the colors of the rainbow of the Play-Doh. And I'm like, please don't mix them together. Please don't. And what happens? They mix them together. And then I buy another box of all the colors. So I'm glad that resonates with you as well.
Oh, for sure.
I think it's inherently a part of the type A mom.
I was going to say, that's it. It's the type A. It's the type A in us.
Right? The paint colors can combine. However, the Play-Doh colors cannot combine. Explaining that to a 4-year-old. Yep. Let me know that one. But yeah, no, the systems that you really truly put into play in all that you do with the working mom movement, your life management system, I think that it's so amazing what you're doing in helping these women. And I think that there's such a need for that right now, because I feel like we're all thriving in organized chaos because we don't know how to do anything else. And that's kind of what society expects of us right now. But talk to me a little bit about personally that life management system and how does it differ from just being organized using a planner? How does that life management system really resonate in your life and in your work and how that works for you?
This is my absolute favorite question. So organization tools, of course, will help. But left to their own devices, having a calendar is not going to be that much of a game changer if the stuff you're putting on there, it's kind of like junk in, junk out, right? So what I do and where we start anytime I'm working with a client, you start with your values because what you value, as I mentioned earlier, is what you prioritize. And what you prioritize is what you spend your time, your money, and your resources on. So you might have the most perfectly organized calendar, but if you are putting things on there that are not aligned with your values, they are weighing you down. They are not serving you. They are not serving your family. So I start everybody with getting really clear on what it is that you value, because that allows everything downstream to be more locked in. And it's not just what you value. Like, if you are in a committed relationship, layering in that other person's values has to be accounted for as well. Or if you are in a divorced family, layering in the other, the parents, or if you are not in a parenting relationship, like on site together, but you still have two active parents that are not living together. Well, that other person's values have to be accounted for as well. It's that's what creates respect, and that's what creates full alignment. Because in lieu of that full alignment, I mean, it's the chicken running around with the head cut off. It might be running real fast, but if it's not going in the right direction, then who cares? um, so the biggest part of the life management system starts with the values. And then we layer in the organization tools, like what One Thrive brings to the table, or electronic tools, or delegation tools, or any of that extra stuff. But it just, again, doesn't matter until you get your values right. Because building that intentional life is what's going to leave you fully aligned and not wasting time, not comparing yourself. We've talked about that a couple times. Not comparing your choices or your lifestyle needs to other people's, because it doesn't serve you. So the perfect example that I use frequently that really helps people conceptualize what it is I'm talking about is family. So when people say, or first of all, if I'm to ask somebody, do you know what you value? If they say yes, it is often them saying family. It's like, okay, what does that really mean? Because family to you or to somebody else might mean preparing their kids to be contributing members of society. It could mean to live a life of faith. It could mean to live a life to serve other people. It could be to be a diversity advocate. It could mean to get into college and, like, I don't know, be the next person to discover how we do, how we grow vegetation on Mars. It 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 could be a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but for me, what family means is remaining one when my boys graduate, when they go off to college, when they're working professionals. How do I keep them close to where they still remember that I'm an important part of their life? So that is what motivates literally everything I do. And because that motivates what I do, if I pull that thread backwards, the way, right, wrong, or indifferent, that I am designing my life to do that is by traveling with them, because I think travel is a hobby that can grow with you. And I am creating a home that I believe they will be proud of, that I think they will have fun in, that I think they will want to host people in and bring their future families back to, and that sort of thing. So this home is what I'm hoping becomes sticky. Well, in order to afford that home, we have to have both incomes. In order to afford that type of travel, we have to have both incomes. So it is quite literally why I work. But if I think about the 2013 car I'm driving with 170,000 miles on it, that doesn't contribute to that value system of mine. So I don't need that material item. I don't care that it's a 2013 with 170,000 miles when my next door neighbor is quite literally driving, like, she's got two brand new cars in her driveway. I can't care about that because it doesn't serve me. So it helps me differentiate what I need to do for my life versus what I just need to honor that somebody else's priorities are not mine, if that makes sense. So I think that's the missing piece that most people have when they introduce organization tools, because creating the best list ever, the best to-do list ever, doesn't matter if the stuff you're doing doesn't actually support what it is that you value.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, it just like it's going back to those fundamental values that are so important and so innate with all of us. But my values and your values might be different, or probably are different. And I think that that's a huge thing to kind of go back and make sure that your values, your husband's values, they really align, because, I think that if those values don't align, then the parenting styles also don't align, or vice versa, right?
That's exactly that's a big part of the problem for people. So there's friction at home that they think it's just their husband not helping them. And oftentimes he's helping, but in different ways. And
Right.
it's sifting through the difference of why he's doing what he's doing and why you want to do what you're doing that gets them closer together. We're never going to be 50-50. And that is unrealistic expectation, but at least it starts to help people become more aligned.
For sure. I mean, there always will be a default parent, and, that's kind of just what happens, and it's okay, right? Like, there are times that, the pendulum switches, and the pendulum flows other ways, but there still will innately be that default parent, right?
Yeah.
And so, the way that default parent is parenting and the way that the non-default parent is parenting need to be aligned, because if
Yeah.
not, then you're always at this constant turmoil, and then it shows in your children, right? When your children have these behavioral issues and issues like that, at the end of the day, like, it's hard to reflect and understand that, like, you don't want it to be like, "Oh, why is this my fault?" Like, it's not necessarily your fault, but I think there are ways to make it easier at home when both parents are on the same page, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that, like, those are the conversations that my husband and I have after our kids go to bed, and, sometimes we're eating dinner after the kids go to bed, and sometimes we're just having a conversation after the kids go to bed, because, there is such a pain point, at least in my relationship, and I know with other people, being the default parent, being the working mom, feeling the pressure at work and the pressure at home, and not feeling like you have it all figured out, right?
Yeah.
And, find me a mom that feels like they have it all figured out, because I really would love to have a conversation with them, because I just don't think it exists. And I think we all have these tools and we have these systems to try and help us. But at the end of the day, those conversations are important also, and that's the biggest part, going back on those values and going back and having those hard conversations with your spouse, being like, we may not have been raised similarly, right? Like, my husband and I couldn't be more different in how we were raised. And I was an only, he was one of 2, he had a sister, and they fought like cats and dogs, which, like, I really had no experience with because I was an only. And
Yeah.
so, coming into that world even, like, for me, there were so many times in the beginning of our relationship where I'd be like, "Why is your sister treating you like that?" Right? Like, I didn't even understand sibling rivalry, like, that's how out of it I felt when I was put into this family? So it's like, it's fundamentally peeling back those onion layers and understanding it all, and, like, it goes back to those values, right? And all of that. I just feel like you and I can stay on values for quite some time, but
Oh, for
moving
sure.
right along. What are a few of your favorite small but powerful shifts that moms can make to regain a sense of control over their time and energy? I think that that's such a big question, and I feel like that's one of my favorite questions to ask other moms, because I feel like we all kind of do it a little differently. Like, I mean, you and I have gone through, my mom hacks and my momifesto, but talk to me a little bit about your shifts and what that does for you and how it can help other people.
I think the single biggest shift that I have made is outsourcing. So outsourcing is, it's a form of delegation, and not everybody has the privilege to do it. But I am of the belief that most dual income families do. I started outsourcing with $75 a week. To me, $75 is a trip to Chick-fil-A as a family of four. Like, truly the same amount of money. So if you can spend a night out at Chick-fil-A, you can afford to outsource. Now you have to be crafty about how you do that, but getting rid of all of my lower task items. So I'm a believer in aligning people with their highest and best use. And the highest and best use for me is to be a mom, it is to be a quality spouse, it is to be a great friend and sister and daughter. And it is to be able to make money, because making money is what allows me to outsource more stuff that I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy watering my plants. I don't enjoy laundry. So when I first started outsourcing, having somebody come over for just 3 hours a week to do the things, do the laundry, water the plants, that's all I needed to be able to get rid of the biggest weights on my shoulders. And then it just grows from there. I'm a believer in buying back your time, because the time is the one resource we have that constantly depletes. You can replenish your energy, you can continue to make more money, but you will never be able to replenish your time. So to me, that's the absolute biggest game changer.
That's huge. That huge outsourcing. I love that. And I love that you call it that. I too outsource many things. Like I just can't, and that's one of those things, like, we're constantly juggling everything in the air, the work, the activities, the relationships, the emotional load, feeling like something's has to give, right? And so that outsourcing component is so huge, and it's hard because, like I have family that is always like, well, I don't want somebody in my home. Okay. Well, would you rather have somebody in your home helping you with the things you don't like to do, or would you rather complain about doing them and do them all the time, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the ebb and flow. Which is harder for you, right? Like, is it harder for you to do all of the things and feel like you're balancing all the balls in the air, and one wrong move, everything's going to come tumbling down? Or is it easier to have someone in your house, right?
Yeah, I agree with that, but also there are other ways that you can delegate or outsource outside the home that don't require you to have somebody. So one of the most simple versions, that I like to refer people to is doing online grocery shopping. Because when you do the grocery shopping and somebody else is picking them up for you, will the produce be 120% aligned with what you want? Probably not, but you know what? The you get a set of strawberries and it has a bad one or two. Guess what? That is 40 cents you just wasted, but you saved a lot more money on stuff that you weren't, like, window shopping on as you're walking through the grocery store. And you just saved yourself an hour. So there are a lot of things that we do that we can do that are no cost to us. At my local grocery store, I'm in Charlotte, we have Harris Teeters here. If you spend $35 at a grocery store, and what family doesn't spend $35? It happens instantly. If you spend $35, they'll do the shopping for you. Heck yeah, sign me up. Every time.
Exactly, exactly. And bringing the children to the grocery store. Mommy, I want to try this cereal. I want to try that. I need this. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. But, would you rather fight with your children in the middle of a grocery store and say no? Or would you rather just put it in the cart and deal with it at checkout?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. No, but really, like, how, like, do you help moms going from the balancing all the balls in the air and feeling like they're in survival mode to adapting to something that is more sustainable? I know your big tip is the outsourcing, but how else do you really help them make that shift? Because I feel like it's a day-to-day struggle to be like, I'm not in surviving, I'm actually thriving, like, what how do you really manage that?
It all goes back to the life management system principles of aligning around your values because, as an example, I have a full basket of laundry that I need to put away right this very minute. And it's been sitting there for 2 days. But did I want to put that away or did I want to sleep? Well, I value my health. So sleep has to be a priority to me. But putting away that laundry basket does not. So it is my grounding on what I value that has alleviated some of the pressure that I might have put on myself before, because I know that that doesn't serve me, and at the end of the day, it's not hurting anybody. So, I think that it is less about overimposing the perfect like the perfect tool, but more the complete alignment that takes you from a place of feeling very time poor to feeling time abundant, because you know that the time you're spending is being spent on the things that serve you.
I love that. I love that. Wait, can I tell you? You'll laugh going back to, like, the laundry basket being in the room and, like, you sleeping instead. I literally could not find a pair of socks that I wanted to wear. So what did I do? I dumped out my entire lingerie sock drawer. All of it was just on the floor in my room. And when I tell you it was there for 1.5 weeks until my husband took my son to a soccer game and I was by myself and I put my daughter to bed and I had my glass of mommy juice and put on mindless television and organized all of my drawers that I could like finally breathe. Like I went through every single drawer and got rid of so much clothing. I also had a in the past year and a half, I've lost 50 pounds. So I had all of this stuff that I just needed to get rid of, which I also have a problem letting go, but that's neither here nor there. But you know, it was just sitting in the floor of my room, and my husband was like, "Did you have a fight with your dresser?" And I was like, "Yes, I did." I was like, "And it's going to stay there until I have the energy and the time to sit and go through everything." And when I tell you, it felt so good to have space in all my drawers again. Ah, woosah. My girlfriend and I always say, like, when we have good mental health is when everything like, our closets are clean and our drawers have space in them
Yeah, you
because
feel in control.
we still feel so in control, and you know that we're not well when there's just clothing all over the floor in our closet or in our bedroom, like, that's when I know that, like, mama needs to take a step and see what is happening to
Yeah.
yeah, that all of it is not working,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know? I'm like, so I resonate very much with the laundry on the floor and being like, "You know what? That can wait. That can wait."
Oh, it's driving me nuts. Like, let's be clear, it drives me
Right,
bananas.
of course.
And
Yeah.
do I want to do that at midnight or do I want to go to sleep? I need to go to sleep. My girlfriend yesterday, just last night, told me, so I going back to what we were talking about before we actually started recording around the Coldplay concert. I literally learned this at 12:30 AM and then at night because she was posting about it, and I said, "What are you talking about? I have no idea." Because that's all she could post about. She was just so tickled by all the memes, and she goes like I was like, "Have I been living under a rock?" She was like, "120%." But Courtney, what I appreciate about this question is you really practice what you preach. Like you spend time on what you value on and don't waste time with other things. So she's like, I love you more knowing this so I mean, I am a believer in it. I do love organization. It is like I am very much a recovering perfectionist, but at the end of the day, it just there's some things that I've had to learn to let go in order to be able to protect what I really do care about at this stage in life.
I love that. I love that so much. But going off of that perfectionism and, how do you coach moms to kind of let go of that perfectionism, especially when we're surrounded by this online ever presence of curated moms and perfect versions of motherhood and doing it all and milking the cow, all with a smile on their face? Like, tell me, how do you tell moms to just like, that's not attainable for everyone? Tell me more. Tell me your ways, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So the biggest thing that I hear in my DMs probably is beyond like I don't have enough time is mom guilt. It's a common theme. And part of that goes back to the lack of confident decision making because you don't know why you're doing something. You don't know why you're working. You think it's to pay the bills, but you forget what bills you're trying to pay and why you're trying to pay them. So being clear on your values once again allows you to remain more grounded even when your heart might be torn. But part of being able to let go, part of being able to manage that mom guilt, part of being able to not compare yourself to others. Once again, it all goes back to that value system and understanding what you're doing and how it serves your bigger purpose. It helps alleviate that pressure valve. Like if you think about the Instapot as an example, like quite literally removing that pressure valve happens when you are able to stand firmer in your shoes and be like, no, I know exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I think that I will continue to beat that drum because that's ultimately what is going to give you peace without doing it all. But I think Um, again, outsourcing, you're not doing it all. Other people are helping you with it. Delegating, same thing. And I talk a lot about a B minus stage of life. So to me, that is, as a recovering perfectionist, that is the laundry example of being able to go to sleep. It's not perfect, but by gosh, I would much prefer to get that sleep and just know that it is a B minus stage of life and that's not going to get done because there are only 24 hours a day. So I have to be super clear with how I use those 24 hours and be able to confidently stand very proudly in my shoes and know I'm allocating my time to the right things.
I love that. I love that. I love that so much. Everything that you do and everything that you preach is so inherently you. And, everything that you've done with the working moms movement, and I know everywhere that the working moms movement is really going to go, it is just awesome because I think that we need the support. We need a place where we have that sense of community and seeing other people that are going through the same ebbs and flows that you're going through is so important. Feeling seen, feeling heard, those are things that, so many moms just feel sometimes they're not being seen and being heard. And so having that place in what you're doing is so amazing. So Courtney, I just want to take the time to thank you so much for all that you do. You are so inspiring. For our listeners out there, how can they find you? Can you just give them a little bit more on how they can get in touch with you and all of that? That would be awesome.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. So the biggest place is on Instagram. I am at Working Moms Movement. I also have a freebie around how to more productively manage your to-do list because there's a lot to unpack there that I think also and will better enable people to quote unquote do it all and allow you to do it more effectively. And you can get that at workingmomsmovement.com/to-do, TODO.
Awesome. And I think everyone needs that in their lives. And Courtney and I are definitely going to do some more of these. And I hope that this is the start to an amazing relationship between Working Moms Movement and me at Mommy is Thriving, as well as with One Thrive. I think that there's so much synergy in everything that we do. So, Courtney, I'm definitely going to give you some ways that your audience as well can get some One Thrive with a little bit of a discount for your friends and listeners out there. So we'll go ahead and send that out on her Instagram as well as on ours. So I just want to thank you again for taking the time today. I think we've touched on so many amazing topics. And, all your mommies out there, you are doing your best. And though you might not look like the best version of yourself right now, we will get there together because we are all works in progress. And stay thriving. And thank you again, Courtney. And we love you so much. And thanks. Bye,
Thanks
guys.
for having me, Sami. Bye.
Of course, our pleasure.